welcome back to Rafael's Insights. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome you into the world of esoteric, the divine, the beautiful. Vengan, 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 come on in. This is a Spanglish video, so hola a todos, bienvenidos a este canal de Rafael's Insights. Hoy va a ser un video en español y en inglés. Yo les voy a estar hablando de los dos. Va a ser las predicciones. Si a ustedes no les gusta, perdóname, pero lo tengo que hacer así porque no tengo tanto tiempo para hacer el video así separado, así como a ustedes les guste. Pero gracias a todos los que me ven. Thank you so much for everybody who watches me. And we'll just go ahead and get started right now. Okay. We're just going to cleanse these cards real quick. I don't have a time. We're going to try to do 20 minutes. 20 minutes and that's it. 20 minutos y ya así pronto, así rápido. Déjame limpiar mis cartuchos. Mira, me apagaron mi vela de protección. Mendigas energías. Mira. Les digo que ya entendí por qué nos dicen que prendamos una vela roja. Es que la economía va a estar bien mal en este mes. Por eso me dicen que prenda veladora roja. De primero no sabía. Now I know why they told me to turn on a red candle. It's because in terms of the predictions that I've already seen so far is that I see all of the humanity, all the world, or many places feeling very, very suffocated with the situations that we're going through. It's going to get complicated economically. Absolutely, we're going to see more complications in terms of economically. And that's why they told me to turn on a red candle. I was like, for some reason they're telling me this. I'm gonna listen to them and I'm gonna go and turn on my red candle. I left you guys the video there so you guys can see how to turn it on. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it, go see it so that you can turn on your red candle. Has to be done today before midnight, preferably before 11. Preferably, I personally, when you work good energies, you don't want to work them past 11. Just my preference is how I work. If you guys want to work different, that's on you. That's just how I work, and that's just how I know the energies work. Ok, vamos a empezar con las predicciones. Les digo que ya sé por qué me dijeron que prendiera la veladora roja. La veladora roja porque viene la economía bien complicada en este mes de noviembre, que se va a poner las cosas complicadas y cosas fuertes, pues, pero vamos a sacar las energías de qué va a pasar en el mes de noviembre 2022 y en los próximos días, las próximas semanas, los próximos meses. Pero vamos a empezar con lo que ya sé. Ahorita les voy a decir. The card of the Justice is going to be the card that's going to be dominating throughout the entire month of November. The card of the Justice is the 11th card, which is why it dominates the entire month of November. But there are other energies that are going to be dominating. One, it tells me that it's going to be a very political month. It tells me that it's going to be a very political month in terms of Trump. Something's really strong is going to begin. It's going to be very difficult for him to win. And it tells me a lot of things in terms of politically. The other thing that dominates this month is also the energy of good and evil, which evil is hiding right now. Good and evil. Good and evil is dominating here too. Battles, divine battles, spiritual warfare. But not only spiritual, wars are going to get more complicated. One, the Temperance tells me that things are going to start calming down and that there's going to want to be like negotiations in terms of war. Two, the devil's definitely playing his hand and he's basically going to cause some sort of a mistake or something to happen to further advance the war that's going on with Ukraine and Russia. A vision that I've recently gotten is that, and we're gonna pull out the cards right now in a sec. But the vision that I've recently gotten is that they're going to begin to recruit the youth into the armies, into the military, in certain places, certain countries. Not necessarily in the U.S. just yet, but definitely in foreign countries. Definitely specifically in foreign countries outside of the U.S. I definitely see more recruitment in terms of youth. Keep that in mind. Parents, say a little prayer for your kids, for your sons, for your husbands. Say a little prayer because things are going to get complicated. The card of the Temperance and the Devil just basically says the spiritual warfare. Les digo que el mes de noviembre viene bien complicado. Les digo que la justicia va a estar dominando todo el mes de noviembre. La carta de la justicia nos dice que el mes de noviembre va a ser bien político, que para Trump piensa una energía muy fuerte en cuestiones legales, algo que no va a poder ganar y que se van a poner las cosas más complicadas para Trumpas. La carta de la justicia domina porque es la carta 11, pero no nomás porque la carta 11 domina, nos dice que es un mes político. Pero también nos avisa la carta de la templanza y el diablo. La templanza me dice que la guerra se calma y nos dice que van a pensar a como querer negociar para calmar todo esto, pero el diablo no se queda lejos, el diablo nos está diciendo que va a querer jugar su mano y nos hablan de accidentes o de cosas accidentadas que avanza la guerra más fuerte. Nos dice que va a ser un mes de energías positivas y las energías negativas atacándose, guerras espirituales y guerras en la humanidad, ¿ok? Pero vamos a sacar las energías del todo, pues del mes de noviembre, a ver qué nos sale, a ver qué nos dice, ¿ok? Vamos a sacar primero las energías en general, ¿ok? I'm not into politics, no me gusta lo político. Yo soy una persona que no soy demócrata, no soy republicano, nada. Yo nomás veo la energía de la persona y me gusta esta energía, me gusta esta energía, no me gusta esta energía, no me gusta esta energía y ya. Este, pero vamos a sacar las energías de noviembre rapidito a ver cómo nos viene la energía de noviembre. I'm gonna take on November's energy. And I mean, I'm gonna pull out these energies, but I already have my visions. Like for instance, the cold is coming in very strong. Women are gonna be very, very anxious. The women are being affected in the month of November. They're making more changes, and it seems like women just don't know what to do anymore. And and there's so many different predictions, but we'll get to those right now. Let me just open the energies of the month of November. In the month of November, it's definitely already talking about. It seems like more like in like the third week, around the third week, it seems like there's going to be a lot of protests. It seems like there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of protests happening. In terms of accidents, we should be seeing an accident or a plane fall, some sort of tragedy. Not just like how happened in Seoul. I think it was Korea where it happened, the stampede. Not something like that. No, this is talking about plane crashes. The only thing is, I know I've already been talking about it for a while, and it's mentioning plane crashes again. Look, the card of the chariot and the card of the tower tells us plane crashes, but look at how the death card comes in together. I would say be careful when you get into a plane this entire month. Pray, say a little prayer for protection. I would say we need to pray to hold this energy, to stop it. We are The reason that these energies come up and the reason that I give them is so we can stop these energies, but it's definitely showing some sort of a plane crash or some sort of a huge catastrophe in terms of accidents, in terms of um, commercial flights, transportation, huge catastrophes. When do they put it? I right now I'm seeing it between, I would say between the next 5 weeks is really when it's gonna represent itself finally. Les digo que en cuestiones de el mes de noviembre ya nos está saliendo accidentes, cosas fuertes. Mira, nos habla el accidente otra vez, los aviones que se están cayendo, la transportación, accidentes, tragedias fuertes. Nos dice, cuidado los que se están subiendo en aviones, que tenemos que rezar porque esto como que se está manifestando que es un avión comercial, algo así. Tenemos que rezar para detener esta energía, tenemos que detener todas estas energías porque vienen muy fuerte en cuestiones de accidentes y tragedias. Ya vimos lo que pasó en Corea, creo que fue Corea, pero esto todavía viene algo más fuerte en cuestiones de energías de accidentes o tragedias. En cuestiones del frío, ya va a llegar el frío bien fuerte. The cold is going to arrive very, very cold, very, very aggressive. It's going to arrive before time, before its supposed time when it's supposed to arrive. And it's definitely going to arrive very, very strong, very aggressive. Texas, New York, and even Los Angeles, California. There's going to be a lot of so Texas and New York, absolutely, you're going to freeze. It's going to be very aggressive. So I would say just be prepared. California, Los Angeles, the cold is coming in very aggressive for us as well, and for those places that have been getting snow, like I know Lancaster has, because let's say maybe I'm from there. Who knows? Lancaster is definitely going to get snow. Absolutely, it's going to get very aggressive in terms of the cold. In certain places, there's going to be a lot of floods. India comes to mind. I know India hasn't been having it very easily, and to me, India, I don't want to say that it's God putting a halt to what wants to happen, but it is. It is because in terms of alliances, once alliances are made, it's going to get more aggressive in terms of war. So I know that there's something going on, and there's a reason why all that's happening to India, because India's more with Russia. India's more with Russia, India and China, and we still have to see the alliances, and they still haven't showed themselves. But a lot of it has to do with what's going on with India, which is why it's being held. Now, les digo que el frío va a llegar bien fuerte. En cuestiones de Nueva York, en cuestiones de Texas, se va a congelar otra vez. Se va a congelar otra vez Texas, se va a congelar Nueva York, Los Ángeles, nos va a llegar nieve. Ciertos lugares, como les digo que yo soy como de Lancaster, y aquí en Lancaster por supuesto va a caer nieve, por supuesto va a ser un frío bien fuerte y va a llegar bien adelantado. En cuestiones de ciertos países también se nos ve inundaciones, mucha agua, el frío fuerte y mucha agua. Nos avisa que viene la agua muy fuerte, y se me viene a la mente India, pero les estoy hablando ahorita en general. Las energías en general nos habla de mucha agua y mucho inundación o mucha agua en ciertos lugares, ¿ok? En cuestiones de guerras, in terms of wars, in terms of war, I do apologize on TikTok because it keeps freezing. I don't know what's going on with the internet with that. It's literally only freezing on there. But in terms of war, I do see like negotiations wanting to happen once again. Like I see them trying to negotiate to calm this down, to stop it, and it's gonna seem like it's going to be halted. It's gonna seem like it's going to be like beginning to calm down. But again, there's this energy that they keep talking about, and the energy that keeps speaking to me is this card here, the card of the devil and the card of the of the hermit. The card of the devil and the hermit tells me that there's an error that they keep speaking about. Something in terms of errors wanting to happen. There's manipulation, and I don't believe in coincidences, but there's something in terms of an error that wants to happen to further the war, and they've showed it to me multiple times. And it comes out again. These two cards here, the card of the devil and the card of the hermit, mean error, accidents, and not necessarily in terms of like an accident that happened in terms of tragedy. It means errors, like something that happened by error. Okay, and when we're talking about by error, we're talking about missiles being launched. We're talking about war. We're talking about things like explosions and missiles and things like that, saying that it was an accident. But I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in coincidences. So definitely something to be watching out. Les digo que se está manifestando que va a haber como una energía de accidentes, como que va a haber una energía de accidentes. Pero estas dos cartas aquí ya me están diciendo, el diablo con el ermitaño, me dicen que va a haber como un accidente, o que quieren pasar accidentes. ¿Accidentes en qué? De que alguien avienta una bomba de accidente, algo pasa en cuestiones de accidente, así en cuestiones de accidente para avanzar la guerra. Pero les digo que también se manifiesta como que van a querer negociar, que en este mes de noviembre, que se van a querer negociar la calma, o para parar, pues, para parar la guerra en cuestiones de Rusia y Ucrania, para tratar de calmar todo eso. Pero luego me están visualizando y me están dando como una visión de un accidente, un error. No accidente, porque no creo en los accidentes. Yo creo que se va a decir que fue un accidente o fue un error, y va a ser para avanzar la guerra, porque es lo que viene marcándose. Las protestas van a continuar, yo creo que es en Irán, ¿verdad? Irán están cortando el pelo, por supuesto, las protestas van a continuar. The protests are going to continue. I believe it's in Iran where everybody was cutting their hair and all of that. The women are fighting for their rights. Protests are going to continue very aggressive, absolutely. I do see that Russia is going to be doing something else that's going to be affecting economically once again. Les digo que veo otra vez que Rusia va a estar haciendo algo como en cuestiones de afectar en cuestiones de la economía otra vez. Yo sé que las personas dicen otra vez, ¿qué más puede hacer ese hombre? Pues lo va a volver a hacer, porque aquí estoy viendo que está deteniendo una decisión en la mano. No estoy viendo que es por bomba, no estoy viendo que es por explosión, pero sí estoy viendo que está deteniendo una decisión en la mano. Pero vámonos a ver. Y en el mundo, in the world, I see changes for rights for females. I see changes in terms of something else is changing that's going to be affecting females. Les digo que para las mujeres le veo como un cambio, algo que los va a mortificar mucho a las mujeres, porque las veo desesperadas. Pero ahorita vamos a hablar de eso. ¿Qué más se manifiesta aquí? Mucha agua, mucha agua se está viendo, pero no creo que... Aquí, en general, llamar con mucha agua ya la había visto en todos modos. Vamos a los Estados Unidos, porque ya se me está acabando el tiempo. Estados Unidos. Vamos a hacer. Vamos a ver. Mes muy político, por supuesto. Los atentados es lo que se está viendo en los Estados Unidos. Pero ahorita vamos a ver. Mira cómo salió el diablo con... Como les dije que estas dos cartas van a estar dominando, cómo salieron juntas. You see how these two cards came out together? What was I telling you guys? That these two cards are going to be dominating here. In terms of the world, I almost forgot. In terms of the world, absolutely, when the cold arrives, viruses and sicknesses are going to be revived. Definitely, they're going to be reactivated. In terms of war, there's going to be biochemical attacks, so we should expect more sicknesses. But for next year, I don't necessarily see pandemic next year. But we'll talk about next year predictions when it's time. But it's not necessarily time yet. But let's see. For the United States, it's already saying that by the end of November, there's like some sort of a big freeze. For the United States, it's showing like a big freeze. It's showing the weather coming in very very aggressive. It's showing a lot of water as well in the United States. Um, Maybe after the snow melts, I don't know how that works, but it shows a lot of water. It's showing it more towards the end of the month though. It's showing it more towards like the end of the month is where they're showing a lot of water in terms of the United States. And it's showing court cases and legal energies against political people here. Another thing that I saw for look at how crazy this sounds, and I saw it, and I have to say it. I know what happened to Nancy Pelosi and her husband was terrible, but they are not in clear waters yet because I still see something is being plotted against them. Obviously, they want to remove her from her post. They want to remove her at all costs, and someone is planning to attack her once again. I would say she needs to continue being careful and somebody this was no coincidence, obviously. Les digo que con Nancy Pelosi como que se le ve otro ataque, otro atentado que se tiene que cuidar porque no se le ha terminado los atentados. Aquí ya la quieren quitar porque la quieren quitar. Así se ve. Se vuelve a ver otro atentado o algo fuerte en cuestiones de ellos dos, Nancy Pelosi y su pareja. En cuestiones de una persona política le marca la cárcel y le está marcando que las cosas va a estar muy complicado para ellos. Ay, Dios mío, se me olvidó decirles. Um, en cuestiones de es que viene una ola azul. Fíjate, viene una ola azul. It's because they show me a blue wave. A blue wave. What I say blue wave because Democrats are gonna take a lot of positions and Republicans are gonna lose a lot. It's gonna be more of like I want to say Democrats win by a certain percentage more than Republicans. And again, in terms of Texas, they speak about a Democrat winning in Texas. But I already told you guys that I've looked into it, and it seems like it's going to be very, very close, but it seems like Beto's going to win in Texas. Whatever you guys want to do with that prediction, that's on you guys. I'm not into politics. Les digo que veo una ola azul. ¿Por qué veo una ola azul? Porque hablan que los demócratas van a ganar muchos de las elecciones ahora en noviembre 8. Y que en Texas se está manifestando que va a ganar un demócrata. Yo sé que mucha gente está enojada, pero luego después se ve mucha violencia, se ve mucha protesta y en todos modos en los Estados Unidos se ve protestas, pero veo a las mujeres muy mortificadas también, muy mortificadas. Tell you guys that there's absolutely probably most likely going to be a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of protests. And I do see protests in the United States, but I also see the women very very frustrated or very hopeless. I don't know why the females are feeling very hopeless in this month. They're either going to make more changes that are going to affect females, and I would say that we need to pray. Everything that I tell you negatively, we need to pray because we need to hold these energies. We need to raise the low vibrations back into positive vibrations. Por eso digo, we need to pray. I see explosions in the United States, for sure. Earthquakes, absolutely, but very minor in the United States. It seems like earthquakes are not going to be very aggressive till December, which is crazy because that's when I was seeing that there was going to be a strong earthquake in California in December. But we'll talk about predictions for December another time. I see a lot of more changes politically, more changes legal-wise. Economically, we need to save our money because economically things are going to get much worse. So let me see, what else do I have to tell you guys? Historical changes in terms of Democrats winning Republicans. So that's definitely something that I'm seeing in terms of this month. That's why I say there's going to be a blue wave because I see a lot of changes, a lot of Democrats winning Republicans, and I think a lot of it has to do with because a lot of people are tired of Trump, and a lot of those people that are Republicans are also focusing so much on Trump and have spoken a lot about Trump, and a lot of people are over it. I'm sure there's people who still support him, absolutely. And again, I'm not into politics, but I have to tell you guys that. But I do see explosions in the United States. I see something about a building, either a building collapsing or an explosion from a building. The market, in terms of the market, it's going to get more complicated. Economically, it looks a little bit difficult. Or very difficult, I would say. There's going to be a lot of changes to banks, for sure. There's definitely this energy about a lot of changes to banks. And not only with either the government towards them, but also they're going to begin to try to protect themselves from whatever the government can do to them. Because there's a lot of changes that are rolling down in terms of banks. Les digo que en cuestiones de la economía va a estar complicada. Salven su dinero, salvemos el dinerito porque va a estar complicada. Vienen cosas más complicadas en cuestiones de la economía. Les digo que se manifiesta mucho cambio en cuestiones de bancos, pero también se manifiesta como que los bancos están haciendo muchos cambios para protegerse de ellos mismos también, que nos va a afectar en cuestiones de nuestro dinerito. Cuidemos nuestro dinerito, ¿eh? Sí, por como para finales. Yo creo que va a ser como para finales. I think it's gonna be towards the end of the month of November because that's when I'm seeing it. Where females are like very very like sad, depressed, or they're very upset over some sort of change that they're going to make. Les digo como que veo que las mujeres las veo muy mortificadas al final del mes de noviembre por un cambio o algo que van a estar haciendo. A really strong prediction that I've been getting, um, a really strong prediction that I've been getting is that really strong. I know it's strong. And just recently I've seen it, and I think somebody asked me if there's a tsunami towards New York. I haven't seen a tsunami towards New York, but I will look into it. But what I have seen is that I saw New York completely destroyed. Explosions, bombings could be it could be something else, but I've been getting visions of New York completely destroyed, or New York suffering another terror attack. Les digo que ha estado viendo como que como alguien me pregunta en los comentarios, había visto aquí en el TikTok que, que si iba a pasar otro, que si iba, que me preguntaron que si venía un tsunami, que si venía un tsunami, y, ¿dónde quedó mi laptop? Que si venía un tsunami, ya no tengo mi laptop, ojalá que no me hable esta persona porque me va a cortar la señal. Que si venía un tsunami y yo le digo que no veo, yo no veo tsunami, tengo que meterme a ver para ver si veo un tsunami, pero para Nueva York no. Pero lo que sí me están enseñando es que Nueva York está como destruido por bombas o por atentados o por algo, pero me estaban enseñando reciente, creo que esta semana me están enseñando como Nueva York destruido. Cosas fuertes, cosas fuertes. Le digo a mamá, ¿cómo vamos a acabar como cucarachas o algo? Tenemos que rezar. We have to pray because there's some very strong energies. Can you guys hear me good in on YouTube? Okay. Thank you for answering me. Just want to make sure because I forgot to put on my my microphone. Let's go to Latin America real quick, and then we'll go to um, Europe. Another prediction that I have for you guys is that there's going to be power outages. I looked into power outages for Europe, and I definitely see power outages. I definitely would say start preparing yourselves because it's going to get more complicated in terms of power, in terms of electricity, and I do see power outages in this month. I see power outages, apagones. Les digo que va apagones, que para Europa me metí a ver qué iba a pasar con la electricidad porque le salió algo complicado en cuestiones de electricidad. Y les veo como apagones, que va a estar muy complicado en cuestiones de la electricidad. Aparte de eso, les digo que veo apagones en general en el mundo. Estoy viendo que va a haber apagones. Vamos a ver Latinoamérica rapidito. Hay visiones. Agárrense porque van a querer sacar. We definitely saw already that they were already pulling. We definitely saw that they were already taking out. They're ordering to take out. I forgot who it was. Either was it Venezuelanos or was it Latin Americans? Right? They were taking out. I think it was Venezuelanos. I think who it was. But what I want to tell you is that I'm seeing that they're gonna be pulling more out, and that they're gonna want to pull people out that even have papers already in terms of Venezuelanos. For whatever reason, they're gonna start banning them, and they're gonna start. But it's because the it's because certain places in Latin America want to align themselves with Putin, want to align themselves with Russia. So there's definitely some stuff coming complicated. So I would say be careful in terms of if you're Venezolano or Latin America. I would say careful because there's definitely something complicated coming towards you guys as well. Not necessarily Mexico because Mexico, since it's so close to the United States has to stay in good terms with Mexico. But Putin does want to come down to Mexico. I will tell you that. Les digo que en cuestiones de una visión que tú ves que quieren venir, pensar a sacar más de lo que ya sacaron en cuestiones de venezolanos y cosas así de los que se quieren venir a los Estados Unidos y que quieren sacar a los que ya tienen papeles, como que quieren estar sacando a esa gente por la razón que vienen cosas complicadas y les digo que yo creo que es porque se quieren alinear unos ciertos países en Latinoamérica con Rusia. No tanto la gente, no es la culpa de la gente, es la culpa de los líderes, ¿verdad? Y pues les digo que como que se está visualizando así que quieren sacar, aunque tengas papeles, te quieren sacar en cuestiones de venezolanos y los países que se quieren alinear con Rusia, con los locos pues allá. Este, y aparte de eso, como que nos cuidemos, ¿verdad? Los que ya estamos aquí, nos cuidemos, tenemos que protegernos, tenemos que rezar por la gente que están queriendo sacar y por todo lo que está pasando en el mundo. Aparte de eso, ¿qué les digo? Aparte de eso, ¿qué les decía? Ay, que el Putin o el de Rusia quiere ir a México, quiere hasta conquistar en México o quiere llegar a hacer amistades en México. La razón que no se puede es porque los Estados Unidos tienen que proteger a México o tiene que estar con amistad con México porque están tan cerquitas. Por eso se tiene que mantener esa amistad. Por eso yo creo que sí vienen cosas buenas para los mexicanos porque los Estados Unidos tienen que protegerlos. Pero yo les digo que a mí me han dicho Los Ángeles que si pasa algo me tengo que ir a México. Ya les dije eso. Yo le estoy diciendo ya a mi familia, ya me dijeron Los Ángeles. Por cualquier razón, no sé, pero me quieren en México. Um, but let's see. We're going to Latin America. Let's see. O vamos a México. Rapidito a México. Le pregunto, no, ¿qué va a pasar en noviembre 2022 en México? Se ve violencia en México. Violence in Mexico. La muerte de un político. In Mexico, right away, there's already violence. It says that there's going to be protests, and it's talking about protests, and there's talking about violence. Mexico always has those two things, protests and violence. Always is definitely something that's always like being sparked up in Mexico. But I see the death of a political person, and there's going to be some sort of resignation. I see a resignation. Yeah, I see a resignation. Resignations in Mexico and Latin America. Resignations from political people, governors, or presidents, vice presidents. Resignation or somebody asking for the resignation. Les digo que veo como la resignación la, la resignación o pidiendo que resigne un político, un gobernador, un presidente o vicepresidente en México, en Latinoamérica. Aquí se está manifestando como protestas y que están pidiendo que resigne, ¿verdad? Que haga su resignación. En cuestiones de la economía, como que se ve muy positiva en cuestiones para México, más que nada México, como que la economía se quiere estabilizar. Pero se ve como mucha agua para México también. Mucha agua y el frío muy fuerte. Yo creo que vuelve a caer nieve donde siempre cae, donde estaba cayendo el último año, vuelve a caer nieve muy fuerte, muy frío. In terms of Mexico, I see a lot of water and I see like a lot of cold, a lot of cold, like it's gonna snow, it's gonna get very aggressive in terms of the cold weather, and I think the cold weather is gonna be aggressive all the way around, arriving earlier than what it should, and much more aggressive than what it could be. Um, I also see apagones. I see like an apagón or something in like Latin America or in Mexico. Power outages in Latinoamérica o en México. Les digo que veo como apagones en Latinoamérica o México. Por supuesto. En cuestiones de la economía para México como que está cambiando de una manera más positiva. No sé por qué me dicen eso. La economía se ve positiva para México aquí. Así lo dejamos. And then there's an energy of somebody going to prison in terms of political, in terms of like well-known people, in terms of governmental in Mexico or Latin America. It's talking about somebody getting either getting an arrest warrant or going to prison. Les digo que en México, en Latinoamérica, se ve que alguien va a ir yendo a la cárcel o que van a estar sacando una orden de aprehensión en cuestiones de gente política o gobernador, políticos, pues sí, en cuestiones de gente muy conocida. Aquí les dejo mis predicciones. Una más, una más. Vamos a ver a Europa. No me meto tanto en Inglaterra, pero les debo el video de qué va a pasar con el nuevo rey. I owe you guys the video of what's going to happen with the new king in London, England. Que no lo quieren. Let's see, what were we going to? Europe, huh? We're going to look at Europe. Europe in general. Vamos a hacer Europa en general. Vamos a ver. India no me meto a ver porque en India todavía se ven más tragedias y cosas más fuertes en cuestiones de tragedia, caídas de aviones, de inundaciones, cosas muy fuertes. For India, I don't go in there because it looks very complicated in terms of more tragedies, more catastrophes, floods, plane crashes, and things like that. So it just looks very negative for you guys. There's definitely something going on over there with you guys in terms of energies. And I think, again, I really believe that what's going on with Iran and what's going on with India, it's God trying to halt what wants to explode in terms of alliances. But I already told you guys, they told me when we were doing the predictions for 2023 on live, they told me that the world will split in half next year. We need to pray. We need to raise the energies. And well, let's look at this real quick because I have to get going already. Ya me tengo que ir. Déjame meterme a ver a Europa. Europe. Vamos a ver a Europe. Physically or metaphorically, I'm not sure what you're asking in terms of that. Physically or metaphorically, what? Let me see. Europe, right? Europe. Pronto, ¿qué va a pasar en... En Europa se ve, no sé cómo se dice en español, pero en Europa lo que se está viendo es protestas. Se ve mucha protesta, yo creo, si no para la próxima semana, donde en dos, 3 semanas se ve mucha protesta. Se ve... In Europe, it's already marking a lot of protests. There's definitely a lot of protests. There seems to be a lot of water arriving. I want to say that there's going to be, there's movements of volcanic eruptions in Europe as well. Movimientos de volcanes o erupciones de volcanes y se ve como protestas. Mira, la carta del diablo, la carta de la torre me dice volcanes. y mucha agua. Veo la muerte de un político o de, político, persona en el gobernador, lo político, pues siempre se me aparece lo político aquí porque está pasando muchas cosas con lo político. I see the death of a political person or political people who work in government and political, something political, right? It talks about the death. It talks about death for political people, raptures in terms of political energies, in terms of Europe. I see a lot of violence. This is where I wanted to tell you. I see a lot of violence in Europe. A lot of violence. There's something. I would say that there's a hair, literally a hair from Putin throwing a nuclear missile, throwing a big bomb. But right now in terms of Europe, I see a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence. It's talking about terror attacks. It talks about explosions. But I see a lot of violence in terms of Europe. Les digo que en cuestiones de Europa veo con mucha violencia, que le digo que Putin ya está como a un pelo de aventar una bomba, de aventar algo fuerte en cuestiones de bombas, en cuestiones de cosas así. Pero aquí se me manifiesta mucha violencia y se manifiesta protestas y se manifiesta bombas, explosiones, atentados y se manifiesta cosas fuertes en cuestiones de violencia. En cuestiones de la luz se va a poner complicado, les digo otra vez. In terms of electricity, power, it's going to get very complicated for you guys. I don't see resolution yet. Let's see, what can we see positive? What can we see positive, huh? Let's see, what can we see positive? There's some sort of good news in terms of political wise though. I don't know what this is. There's this energy here with the sun and the justice, and there's some sort of good news. Some sort of good news politically. So maybe something in terms of new laws that are going to be very favorable for you guys, or maybe even some sort of help when you guys are going to be needing. But I definitely see something in terms of political positive wise in Europe. But in terms of Europe, I see violence. I see recruitment in terms of young people as well. I see like young people being recruited in Europe for a pending war. It's not a coincidence. Let me tell you one thing. It's not a coincidence that they started giving those pills for radioactivity, those pills that they've been giving in foreign countries. It's not a coincidence. It's because they know something. They obviously know that something's going to happen and they have to be prepared. And we should start receiving them soon here in the U.S. as well, but it's still a little bit later on. Les digo que no es una coincidencia que están dando esas pastillitas. Yo ya que se vio que están dando esas pastillitas, saben algo. Les digo que en cuestiones de Europa como que se está manifestando que van a estar pidiendo a los jóvenes que se metan al militar porque viene algo fuerte. Ya les dije, I told you guys a while back. I told you guys that World War III had begun with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and it wasn't World War III, but it was the beginning of World War III. I'd already told you guys in the beginning when Russia and Ukraine went to war that it wasn't World War III between them, but it was the start of World War III. So that's why we need to pray and we need to calm these energies down. Economically, it looks very complicated for Europe. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I do have to get going. I will do another video. I don't have no more time to stay on here. I really wanted to continue looking at this and see what you guys want me to predict. But I didn't. I can't see what that says. I didn't get to stay as long as I wanted to, and my video is already way too long. It's already like 40 minutes. I'm not trying to make this video that long. But what I will tell you is that I see. So the last thing that I will tell you is recap. I see errors that are going to cause the war to advance. I see women frustrated or very sad and very depressed over some changes that are coming. The economy looks a little bit very unstable, and market wise it seems very unstable. It keeps going down or it keeps having problems. If it hasn't crashed yet, it's still pending, because I don't keep up with the market, so I don't know what's going on. Unless I see breaking news, then I know what happened and I know my prediction came true. I did see that some people did lose money in terms of the market, though, so I definitely say that the market is very unstable. I would say invest more in things that are more secure, because things are going to get more complicated economically. I see power outages, and I see tragedies and vehicle accidents, transportation accidents. What else? A blue wave. I already told you guys that I see Democrats winning most elections. Just trying to recap and remember what I said. But if not, I already said it on this video, and I'm gonna get going. I think that's how we're gonna do our predictions for the month of November, and I have to get going because I have to attend a client. Let me just say it in Spanish. Les digo que para el mes de noviembre o en las próximas semanas, los próximos meses, ya les dije que se ve la economía bien frágil, bien complicada. Se ven apagones. Se ven cambios que van a desesperar a las mujeres. Las mujeres se ven bien mortificadas o bien frustradas, otra vez tristes. Se ve mucha violencia. Ya les dije que se manifiesta como un error, que quiere avanzar la guerra. Veo como que van a querer negociar, pero como que no se va a hacer. Pero van a querer negociar. Veo el frío muy fuerte. Ya luego les pongo el video más concreto, esto y esto y esto y lo otro, ya que tenga tiempo. Pero ya, yo creo que así lo dejo. Gracias a todos los que me vieron. Fueron predicciones muy fuertes. Yo sé que tenemos que cuidarnos mucho de todo lo que está pasando. Las enfermedades se reactivan. Pero Europa, yo creo que vienen cosas muy complicadas para ustedes en cuestiones de guerras, en cuestiones de cosas fuertes, pues. Porque ustedes están como en medio de todo. Pero thank you for my time. It was an absolute pleasure. I love you guys. Los quiero mucho en TikTok y en YouTube. Ya me tengo que ir. Ya me pasé de tiempo. No quería quedarme tanto tiempo, pero ya se pasó el tiempo. Y fue un placer de estar aquí con ustedes. Es un placer de estarles mis predicciones. Espero que ninguna de las negativas se cumplan y solo las positivas, pero la verdad, como que nunca se manifiestan cosas positivas. Siempre está la humanidad así ahorita. Estamos muy ahorcados ahorita. Pero los quiero mucho, los veo para la próxima y pues ahí les dejo mis predicciones de el mes de noviembre y los próximos meses, los próximos días, las próximas semanas. Pero los quiero mucho y los veo para la próxima. Bye. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time.